So this target, I've had targets like this before, specifically space-based targets where it's a satellite kind of front and center hovering over the Earth. And the picture that I had before was communicated in a similar way. The concept of light bouncing around and reflecting off things was very, very strong, which is that's one common thing in my sessions that I'll key in on, is the concept of reflection. I think it's an important one. And it's something that the subconscious recognizes fairly easily for some reason. I don't know why. Let's just get into it. When I first made contact with the target, I was getting the feeling of, it was like there was a small particulate matter falling from a high area to a lower area. And it was like a cyclical thing. So it would fall, and then it would turn around and it would fall again. And then it would turn around and it would fall again. And I saw an hourglass. And so I thought that it was something to indicate both two separate chambers with a small area between, and the concept of time passing. But I also kept getting this very thick blue, misty, powdery, like a fuzzy blue color is what I was trying to describe. Like a powdery texture to a very deep blue color. I called it like a Prussian blue, which wasn't bad. It goes through a gradient. It starts very light colored and then goes to dark blue, but still, that blue color was communicating itself well. After all of that, I didn't really stop to think about the concept of the hourglass turning over again and again and again and again. But that's actually really similar to another hit that I'll talk about later on that I had on a satellite. That feeling of turning over again and again and again and again, falling, rising, and falling again. That was the common thread between these two different sessions, these two different satellite targets. But the one I'm talking about today, after I got that initial blue feeling, again, I asked for feelings first, and the feeling of water and the particulate matter passing from top to bottom over and over again, that was sort of the feeling that was communicated. And then after that, I asked, what's happening in the picture? Which is a useful question. I asked that question a lot. And in this case, I saw this kaleidoscope of color kind of flaring out in a circular pattern. And it looked crystalline, and it looked like it was reflecting around. I described it really well. Just light bouncing and refracting around in a kaleidoscope crystal effect. And then I also said, I love this. I don't know why these words bubbled up, but I said, sunlight passing through a transparent medium. Because I couldn't tell what the light was going through because I couldn't see it. But I knew that it was going through something and then reflecting and refracting around. Well, it turns out sunlight passing through a transparent medium is an excellent description of the target photo because it's in space. You're not going to find a more transparent medium than space for sunlight to pass through. There's so much good information just wandering around in this image. The fact that I thought I saw sunlight through mist also communicates the light in the upper atmosphere refracting around. The fact that I said it felt like it has something to do with time or time being measured is great because we're talking about a scientific instrument. Both of those two aspects were just dead on, and I loved them. I think kind of the highlight of the session was the part that came next, which is where I said, show me something in the picture that I'll recognize. And what I got was a main center line with all sorts of little lines coming off of it. And I drew this down below. And then, for whatever reason, the data that came through was that there were lines involved in that shape that were very orderly. Like they were really stacked in a specific order, very regularly. And at the very top of all those was a little white ball. A little white ball of light-colored area. And I drew 8 of those. I felt like there were 8 of them, and I drew 8 of them. And not only does that first description really well round out a good general nature of the target, the one straight center line in the middle with the other lines branching off of it, but the fact that I talked about these little white bulbs at the end, and then I said that there were 8 of them. That's nuts. That was absolutely nuts. So, good target contact. The last little bit was, there was another piece of data that matched in a striking way down below where I said that there was flat shapes in a stair-stepping pattern that had something to do with the flow. There are, right in the center, flat shapes in a stair-step pattern, and they are panels that are working with electrical current. Not only that, but all of the other flat panels are solar panels. They're generating a flow of electrons. So the fact that I'm talking about these flat shapes having something to do with a flow, I was getting waterfall indicators earlier, but I didn't say it was a flow of water in my actual session. I just said a flow. Electricity is, in my opinion, often communicated with a flow. I had another session at one point where a friend of mine at work hid the word light bulb in his pocket, and I tried to do a session on it, and I got a really, really good hit. And in that hit, I saw an analytical overlay of a kitchen faucet, but I was able to get past that and not say, oh, it's a kitchen faucet. Instead, I said, something flows through it. And it was a light bulb. And again, it was electricity that flows through it. And it wasn't just that. That whole description was pretty good. But in this session, if you take all of those data points and put them together, they very accurately describe different parts of the target image. And there were also different elements in the section where I was sketching things that very, very closely resemble the actual shape in the image. So good target contact, good descriptors. I did a good job declaring my analytical overlay so that it didn't color my target too much, but it did a little bit. I got some more water feelings than were necessarily present in the actual image, but still, pay attention to this pattern. You get a clear visual of an hourglass, but that doesn't mean your target is an hourglass. It means that there's a piece of information that is driving your imagination to generate the image of an hourglass, and it's your job to decode that. Do you see? It's not an hourglass. It's the concept of falling and then being reset and falling again, and being reset and falling again, and being reset and falling again. Get it? The orbit. Your subconscious is very original. It's this beautiful, original, creative force. I hope you love it. And I hope you get something out of these videos. Play with it. Drop me a comment if you have any questions. I'm going to keep doing this. I like making these videos. I hope they're helpful. I hope you're encouraged. Remember, you can do this. All of you can do this.